Yeah, so as you can see, it monitors the trade and it goes from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. Now, I want to talk about the steps and the settings in the steps so you guys can understand what it's actually doing to get you into the trade, right? So let's go to, oh, by the way, the stop loss killed this trade and it had to generate a new trade idea, which was generated down here. And you can see that this one was successful. This was the trade idea that was successful, right? So the AI is smart enough to recognize that, hey, what I got going on isn't working. Let me switch sides and do something else. It's smart enough to do that. So you don't need to ask it for a trade idea every single second or keep asking or do no shit like that. Because if anything, that just confuses the process. Another thing that's really, really important is you don't want to flood a single chat with a bunch of different monitors. The reason why you don't want to do this is because she has memory of everything that she's doing. So if you're talking about 5 different things in the same chat, now she has to juggle her processing power to think about 5 different tickers, you feel me, in the same conversation, you know what I mean? and analyze for it. Like, she could do that, you feel me? It's not impossible. She can do that, you feel me? She can definitely juggle 5, 6 different things, but it's just, you know what I mean? It's not ideal, you feel? It's just not ideal. Because I've seen somebody literally they were asking for a trade idea like 20 times in one chat, you feel me? Just every 2 seconds trying to find what they were looking for, you know, basically trying to get confirmation bias. And that's not what this is built for. This is built for setup and monitoring. It's not for confirmation bias. You know, I put little thought into this right here, into the grade and the confidence. I put the most thought into this right here, this green line right here. All right. So let me tell you exactly what's going on in this green line, right? So when things start going our way, first off, here's the difference, a breakout. So there's 2 types of call positions, right? There's a breakout and support. Support is typically when the AI is looking for the trade to drop down from where it's at to a lower level and then stop there and then go up. You feel me? A breakout play is when it's already going up and she's saying, hey, I want it to continue going up and we're going to grab it along the way. You get what I'm saying? Now, the difference between the two is that a breakout play has more risk involved because you're coming in on a moving situation that's already starting to take off and you're giving up a little bit of ground in order to get confirmation. You know what I'm saying? Now, with a breakout play, there's a couple different settings that we have that determine how we enter it, right? So there's 2 ways you enter a trade in Tradehelper. There's the Strat 2 confirmation, and then there's the stochastic crossover. I've never seen a stochastic crossover entry yet, so I damn near got to check and see if that is even working. You feel me? But let me show you what a Strat 2 looks like. A Strat 2 confirmation, all that means is that we're in an uptrend on the 1-minute candlestick based on these settings. Let me go to my helper and let me show you, right? So underneath confirmation type is where you see our entry types, right? So let's look at the Strat 2. The Strat 2 is set to confirm on the 1-minute candlestick. See, 1 minute. So all we're looking for to confirm a Strat 2, all we're looking for is for it to have a 1-minute candlestick that beats a previous high on 1-minute candlesticks before the 2D. So what does that mean? Let me show you, right? Let's go back to that entry level. You feel me? So what is the previous 2U before the 2D, before the lowest 2D? So the lowest 2D is down here. This is the lowest low, right? Is down here. So what was the 2U, the most earliest 2U candlestick before this low? So this is a 3 candlestick, so that doesn't count. This is a 2 candlestick, see? And it's higher than this candlestick, right? So this is a 2 candlestick, a 2U candlestick. So the high right there would be 688.45. So all a Strat 2 means is it means that it got above this level right here. So the moment it hit this right here, it started an uptrend on the 1-minute candlestick. That's all it was looking for. But because it's a breakout play, it doesn't mean that we jump in right there. Because it's a breakout play, we have to get above this blue line right here, ultimately, because it's a breakout play. So not only do we have to get a Strat 2 kind, now if this was a support play, getting above this level right here will be all we needed. Then we'd start checking the volume, the stochastic, and then we just jump in right here, right? Because it's a breakout play, not only do we have to be in an uptrend, but we also have to go higher than this blue line right here because this is the breakout zone. This is where it breaks out. You get what I'm saying? So the AI said, hey, it needs to be above 689.15 in order for this thing to keep going all the way up to 690.28. That's what the AI is saying, right? So typically when you're looking at the step 2 up here, where it's showing you step 2, the first thing it'll say is on a breakout play is it'll say we got to get above the strat 2, and it'll give you the number of the strat 2, which is 680.45 or whatever is at. You feel me? 680.45. So the first thing you'll see in the step 2 is it say, hey, we got to get above 680.45. Then once it does that, it's going to say strat 2 confirmed. You feel me? And then if the stochastic is also good, by the way, here's what the stochastic means. Let me show you what it means. All right. So let me record the screen over here. Let me move this over. Boom. So this is the stochastic down here. This little wavy little blue lines right here on Webull. This is what a stochastic looks like. Typically what a stochastic means is it means room to run. You feel me? It means room to run. So stochastics over 80 are typically considered overbought, and stochastics under 20 are typically considered oversold. When it goes all the way down here, usually a stock is falling when the stochastic is coming down. So if you look over here and look at SPY, even though SPY is in a crazy uptrend for the day, look at where it started falling right here, right? Look at what's happening to the stochastic at that same time. Stochastic comes down to 47 down here, right? To go back up again, the stochastic climbed all the way to what? 95, 90, 100 up here. God damn, it's so hot. It climbed to 100. Watch what happened when it got to 100. When it got to 100, it went flat. For a long fucking time, it went flat. You feel? That also has to do with it being after hours, but I'm just saying, you know, it's flat because usually 100 is like, damn, you at the limit, and it'll either do one or two things. It'll start coming down or it'll move flat and buy time. I'm not sharing my screen. Oh shit, you right. Damn, my bad, y'all. It's on the recording, but I wasn't sharing my entire screen so you can see it. Hold on, there you go. So you see this little wiggly line down here on Webull? This is the stochastic. When it's going down, you see the stock was going down at the same time. When it's going up, you see the stock was going up at the same time. When it's really high up here, it usually flattens out. Like things get flat or it starts to come down. Now, overall, it could be in an uptrend all day, but it still moves like a staircase. It ebbs and flows. So what do we do with the stochastic when it comes to our trade ready stuff? Well, here's one thing that we do. During a breakout play, right? We typically are expecting the stochastic to be hot because it's a breakout play. It's already been running. So we know the stochastic is going to be hot. We just don't want it to be too fucking hot, right? So let's go to my settings over here. Inside the Strat 2 confirmation, we have what's called the stochastic shield, which is right here. And here's what it says. So I actually just recently, I got to refresh the page probably, because I just recently changed what is considered the high of the stochastic shield. And the reason why I did that, so I got to resave that. The reason why I did that is because 95 is too high. 95 is typically like the last, it's like the end result. It's like we at the tail end. You feel me? We don't ever want to buy in at 95. So I changed loose to 90. Now, here's why I have it at 90. I'm a risk taker. You feel me? And I typically believe that the volume shield will pick up the slack on the stochastic so that I don't even miss trades that are already trading at 95. Maybe it'll go from 90 to 100. You feel me? And that's a lot of room right there. Let's take a look at what that looked like, because that actually happened today. You feel me? If you look right here, it's already at 95 right here in this area where it gets kind of flat. And then you'll see it pops up into close, right? So it goes from 95 area and it goes up to 99. You feel me? But in that little bit of room, look how much it climbed. It went from 691 up to 692. That's a whole dollar at the end of the day. At the end of the day like that could be 200%, 300% right there at the end of the day. So I normally had it at, I'm willing to buy in at 95, but I realized that's a little bit too dangerous. You feel me? So I have to make a compromise, and I brought it down to 90 being the highest for buying calls on the stochastic. Now that's just for breakouts and breakdowns. Now here's the difference, right? You see right here for reversals, you feel me? We can buy a call as long as it's under 30, right? Why do we have that? Because if it's a support play, then usually support plays start down here. You feel me? They start down here. Look at this. If you look at the stock down here, what did it do? It dropped here. This would typically be a support play. It has to drop down to climb up. This isn't a breakout play. So the drop down, where did the drop down take it? The drop down took it all the way to damn fucking 3 on the stochastic. And then it climbed, you feel me? And now you see it doing this thing going up, you feel me? Right? So we want it to be oversold. We want it to be sold heavily so that we're coming in. If it's a support play, we want to buy it under 30. You feel me? Which is middle of the road. That's decent. If you want to be really strict, you feel me? You would get it at 20, which is like a deep dip. You know what I mean? But I got mine set to the middle, which is standard. You know? Raise your hand if you understood everything I just showed you so far about the stochastic. Raise your hand if you understood that. If that made sense to you. Y'all understanding? Okay, cool. Right? Cool. All right. For those of you who didn't understand, you'll get it. It's just you gotta get it explained to you a couple times. So once again, let's go back to the monitor. Let's go back to that trade, right? If we look at that trade, 2 things happened during that breakout. 2 things happened. One, you feel me? It got above the previous 2U. You feel me? So it confirmed the strat. And then the second thing that needs to happen is for a breakout play, which this is, it needs to be under 95, which was the setting that I had at the time. Of course it's under 95. At fucking 950, it was definitely under 95. In fact, I'll tell you what it was right now at 950, because we use a 15-minute stochastic. So at 950, it was around 55. So it's definitely under 95, well under it. So we got room to run, right? So it passed both of those, right? Then comes down to the volume block, which is the most important blocker of them all and the one that I rely on the most and the one that's relatively new that we introduced, right? Now, here's the problem. The volume block, I changed it dramatically today, so we're going to see what it looks like tomorrow because I changed it dramatically today. How I used to have it is that if we're over 60 on the volume or the whale, it jumps in. Now, what does that mean, right? When you're looking at step 2 and it's reading and it's showing you volume and whale, what does that mean? So there's 2 types of volume. There's volume, which is retail traders. Those are people like you and me who are buying up small shares and doing stuff like that. That's the volume. And we're basically saying, look, the people that are buying and trying to get it to go up are at the moment of my trade ready, we're 59% of the people. Whereas the other people were either neutral or trying to sell to make it go down. That's all that means. It means that at the moment, the people that were buying were winning the tug of war. That's when we want to come in. We want to come in on something like that. Why do we want to do that? We want to do that because it gives us momentum so that this thing shoots up like it did right here. Boom, and it goes in the direction that we want it to go, right? The second thing that we look at are the whales. You feel me? Now, with the whales, we only require them to be over 50%, right? If they're any higher than that, you really got something on your hands. But the whales are the hedge funds, the banks, the big institutional buyers, the motherfuckers that are moving 25,000 shares at a time. You feel me? These are the big dogs. Now, we want them. We don't need them to be on our side. We just need them to not be in the way. We need them to not be at like 40% or something lower. We need them to just not stop us. You feel me? We need them to just not be in the way. It doesn't matter what they can be neutral or whatever, and that won't typically stop an uptrend. We just want them to not block us. So how I have it set right here is whales. Typically, if you look at, let's go back to the settings, right? Let's go back to the settings. If you look at the volume shield, which is right here, you'll see that I changed this recently. It used to be 60%. Now it's 70 because, like I said, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive tomorrow. And the reason why the numbers are going to be a little bit more aggressive is because I changed the volume shield from using 15-minute candlestick buckets to simply looking back on the last 3 minutes, which is going to give us more, I would say, intense numbers. What was probably like a 60% today is most likely going to be like an 80% tomorrow. You feel me? So I got to find what type of balance feels good tomorrow to make sure that everything makes sense. So that's why if you look at these now, we still got a 60, but 60 is now the smallest, and we got 70 and 80. You know what I mean? And we're going to find out tomorrow what makes sense. Tomorrow, I'm going to truly find out what makes the most sense, right? But you see that I require 70%, and I require just the whales to not be in our way. Just be 50 or above. You feel me? Just don't be in our way. You know, that's really it. Just don't try to stop us. That's all I'm saying to them, you know? So here's how it works. once the volume and the whales, you'll see a green dot or a red dot next to volume and whale. If it's red, that means it's not looking good for us. You feel me? If it's green, that means it's clear to pass. You need both of these to be green, volume and whale. Once they both sync up green with the green dot, meaning the volume has met your requirements. If my requirement is 70% and it's at 70% or higher, that means it's met my requirement is going to turn green. If the whale is at 50% or higher, because my whale requirement is 50%, it's going to turn green while you're looking at it in step 2. All right. If these two turns green, this will turn into trade ready, right? I had another feature called a book override. Now I'm going to explain to you what the book is, and then I'm going to explain to you why I took out the book override tonight, right? So what the book is, you see that my book is 69%. What the book is the volume and the whales are reading actual orders that are actually happening, right? But the book is doing something different. The book is looking at potential orders that might happen. These are people that have placed pending orders either above or below the current situation. If it's above, they're saying, hey, if I'm trying to buy at ask price and take the price higher, then I'm on the side of the bulls. But if I'm like below and trying to sell down, you feel me? And I'm selling at bid price or doing anything like that, I'm on the side of the bears. You get what I'm saying? So we're analyzing that as well and seeing the potential. And what that means is like, hey, the volume could be good, but the book can override that and say no. You feel me? Because the volume might be good and we'll jump in, and then all of a sudden we run into a brick wall because there's a lot of sell orders right in front of us, and those motherfuckers absorb our volume and then send us to the floor. You know what I mean? So that's why if you look at the settings right here, let's go back to the settings, because every time I explain something, I'm explaining to you what it looks like in the settings. All right. So if you see right here, we have a book shield, and this one says I have mine set to 50%. As long as it's 50% or higher, I'm cool in my direction. I call it a fair fight. You feel me? Fair fight means everybody got a chance, right? But you can set it to 55, which means advantage, or 60, which means dominant. You win in that motherfucker. If you want to be strict, that's up to you. The book shield is just meant to be a veto to the volume. It's meant to veto it. The volume can look good, but you want to be careful and make sure that you're not about to run into a brick wall while you're stepping on the gas. That's what that means, right? You'll also see the book have a green or red thing next to it. The goal is to have all three line up. And if you have your settings correct, all three will line up, and that'll get you into a trade. Now, does everybody understand what I just explained about the volume, the whales, and the book? Raise your hand if you understand. So that's what it looks like for a breakout. A breakout does a couple things. It checks first for a 1 minute uptrend, then it checks the stochastic. If it does both of those, then it gets above the blue line. And once it gets above the blue line, then the volume shield kicks in. If these numbers are good, it'll immediately buy the trade for you. If the numbers aren't lined up exactly the way they need to, it'll just wait there and keep looking at that until it lines up. Then it'll immediately buy the trade for you. You know what I'm saying? And you'll get in, right? Now, here's where the danger comes into play, right? And this is what I work on each and every day to make better for you guys, right? So, for example, this trade worked really, really well in my favor with the settings that I had. Blew up, and it would have made me thousands of dollars. It would have made me $6,000 today if I would have held it. But I was just trying to get back to work, so I only made $180. You feel me? Would have made a little 6 bands today. Next time though, once I'm done with all my updates this week, then I'm gonna let my shit run again and just let it do what it do. All right. But let me show you where things did not work out. You feel me? And this was during testing because I was letting it buy like $30 or $12 because I was doing testing, right? So for example, this trade idea right here, bullish bounce 690. Now, if you look at this buy line right here, you'd probably think this one was a winner. You feel me? Volume 52%. Actually, this is the one that made me remove the book shield, right? Because here's a mistake that I made. So I had it that if the book is above 60% and is dominant, I had it that it will override everything and just buy the position for you. That was a bad fucking move, right? Because let me show you what happened and what could happen to you. So look at this. The trade ready ended up here, right before a big ass pullback, a big ass drawdown. Why did that happen? You can literally see why it happened right here in the buy line. The stochastic was at 98.9. Why the fuck am I buying something at 98.9? That is literally 1% away from probably the highest fucking place it could be. So of course it's going to pull back right there. Of course it's going to kick my ass. And why did it let me get in at 98.9? Why? Because I had my settings set to 95, right? When did it dip down to 95? Right here. It dipped down to 95 right here, 94.9. Then it quickly went up and got me to trade ready at what? 98.9, which is literally ridiculous. It's literally ridiculous. That is insane. You feel me? So I bought at the possible worst fucking time. Thankfully, even though this eventually won and it would have made profit, only after the drawdown. Thankfully, I only bought with a single contract of $50. You feel me? Oh, sorry, three. No, I had 4 contracts. No, I had 3. Did I buy in with 4 or did I buy in with 3? Yeah, anyways, I lost $12. You feel me? Because I was up at 200, you feel me, or like 190 something, and I went down to 180, as you guys can see. So I took an L, but I was just testing. I was buying in small, just testing things out. But we see why that trade fucked up, because the stochastic was way too high. That's based on my settings. And then secondly, I let the order book override everything because the order book was at 75%. So even though motherfuckers were not going against me on the books, guess what happened? Guess what happened? I learned very specifically that in a breakout, the volume is way more important. You feel me? The order book was shallow. Even though it was in my favor, it was extremely shallow. So it was low liquidity order book. And this volume is really weak. If you really want to think about it, this volume is weak as hell. If anything, it was about to go under 50. And it was about to switch over to the bears already. That's why we needed to be at like 60 and shit like that. You feel me? It has to have a lot of room. It has to have a big advantage over the bears, right? So that's what fucked up. So raise your hand if you see why that trade lost right there, or why that trade would have lost. If you see clearly, clear as day, why that was a problem. You feel me? So what did I do? I looked into that after market hours. I analyzed it with AI. I looked at it myself and I changed things. I immediately changed things. When I run into a problem, even when I see it, I immediately make changes that same day so that tomorrow we're in a better situation tomorrow. That typically requires me to launch a utility update. If you're wondering why I push so many fucking updates, like sometimes 2 times a day, is because of shit like this. You feel me? Or it requires me making a change to Rennie and pushing that change out to you guys who are all linked to Rennie if you have your link turned on. By the way, turning on your link is as simple as this. Click this drop down right here and turn on your sync. You feel me? If you turn on your sync and you see the little green icon on your helper, that means whenever I make a change to Rennie, you'll get that change immediately. So that you'll get the new settings and new rules and new numbers. You know what I mean? Like finding out that we're doing 90 now instead of 95. You'll get those numbers. You feel me? Because that would have stopped me from getting in that dumbass trade. You feel? I would have never got in at the top right here. And guess what? Guess what happened? Remember what happened after it was up here at 90? It came down here and it was at 47. So what this would have did, well, regardless, this trade would have got invalidated regardless anyways, because it went underneath the stop loss. So this trade would have just blocked me from getting in up here and then just invalidated itself and came in with something new underneath it, right? Let's look at another failed trade. So let's go to this one, right? This is another failed trade, right? Trade ready. So what can we glean from this, right? So the first thing you're thinking in your head is this looks okay, right? But I'm going to show you why it's not okay, right? So with this one, the stochastic is at 48. This was a bearish breakdown. Stochastic was at 48 for a breakdown, right? So well within decent territory. Very, very good. Let's also look at where it did it, right? Right here. Trade ready right here. So stochastic is looking good, right? The volume is decent, but it's not over 60, right? The book is what overrode. Remember, I had a book over 60, just get us in, override everything. That's what got this trade to enter, because the book was 62, right? So that's why I no longer just let the book override everything, because guess what? The volume was 57. That's close, but no cigar. And there's no prize for coming in for second place. That is close, but no cigar, right? This was decent volume, and you can see that it was actually decent, because you can see that this comes down right here. It's actually decent. Boom. And then you see it's still kind of weak, and it actually breaks the low right here. You feel me? But it never got strong enough. I went back and looked at it in my logs. It never went over 60. It went up from 57, and then it actually started coming down. 57 was actually the highest. It went down to 55. So even when it broke the lows right here, it was actually at 52 when it came down here. 52. You feel? And then You see what happened next. Bulls took over. Ba, 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 ba. And they did their thing. So that's why 60 was my metric, because I kept looking back at all the times I got into a trade. And that was like the shining thing, that it was always over 60 when it was good or strong. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know what number is going to be tomorrow, because once again, I changed the way the volume shield works. So tomorrow, I got to determine what's going on and see if the new number, if the new magic number is 70 or 80 or something. I'm going to figure that out. It's only going to take me like a day to figure that out, but I'll figure that out. So I'm letting y'all know, because tomorrow we're going to be riding blind a little bit. You feel? Everybody, so you might want to lower your buy-in a little bit, because we're going to be riding a little blind. You know what I'm saying? You might want to dumb down your budget entry a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Okay. Anyways, so with everything that I've explained right here, with everything that what I'm telling you is the number's not going to be, literally the volume shield itself is different. So what you see is 70 today, for it really is going to be like 90 tomorrow. You feel me? Because it's going to be more aggressive. Like the numbers are going to be more dramatic in the direction of what they're saying. So today's 60 is going to be like tomorrow's 80. Today's 70 is probably going to be tomorrow's 95 for all we fucking know. You know what I mean? So that's what we got to see, what those numbers are going to look like tomorrow, what the new rolling average is going to be. That's what I mean. All right. So yeah, hopefully I've explained everything. No, there's one more upgrade coming. One more. Oh no. Oh yeah, you're right. The last upgrade today did have that change. Oh no, you're right, bro. My bad. Yeah, you're right. 70 was good. You're right. Okay. Sorry. I made a mistake with what I just said. Torres I did launch that update, and I changed the volume thing today with the last update that I pushed today, and Torres used it. And you're saying that you got to trade after the update and it came through a 70. Okay, then if that's the case, you good, Torres. 70 did work in your favor. Yeah, the what I was talking about, I didn't know that you were trading after the update today, because I did that update pretty late in the day, like around fucking noon and shit. So yeah, if you already tested it and got a 70 afterwards and it was good, then yeah, you are correct. That was a 70 that worked in your favor. So yeah, 70 is, so that means that 70 might be the new 60. You get what I'm saying? And that's actually what I have it set to right now. That's what I was hoping it would be. I was hoping that it was just going to bump it up 10. You feel me? So I think that's what I got mine at. Yeah, 70. Yeah, so there we go. All right. So with that being said, you feel me? With that being said, let's go. I just showed you guys how the trade ideas work, right? Now, if it's a support play, the only difference with support plays is the type of numbers it looks for. For the stochastic, if it's a call, it's looking for below 30. If it's a put, it's looking for above 80 or something like that, because it wants it to be overbought or oversold. You feel me? So you'll see the stochastic have a whole different rule set. It'll literally tell you, hey, I'm looking for it to be over 80 this time and not under 80 or whatever the case may be. It'll tell you, right? Also, it's still looking for the 1 minute trend in its favor. It's still looking for that. And with the volume, it's still looking for the same volume and the same book and the same everything, all right? So now y'all know. When it hits you with a trade ready, it should immediately, if you have full automation, it should buy your position, put you in an autopilot, right? Now, here's the issue with autopilot. So y'all know the issue with autopilot. Autopilot is cool, but it's not good enough. I'm going to tell y'all why, right? So currently right now, autopilot works off of, price triggers. I don't have one that I can show you that's decent right now. So I'd have to go back to like yesterday, I think. Show you this one. Oh. So this is from yesterday where I hit that lick for the $430, right? So with autopilot currently goes off of the price of the contract. If the contract is up 10% or if the contract is up 30%, those are like the most popular triggers to get actions, right? Other than hitting the target and things like that. The upgrades that I'm working on is I'm trying to make it so that it goes off of the potential ROI of the contract so that we stay in trades longer and we don't give up trades just because it's up 50%, up 60%. Now we can say things like, hey, this specific trade is supposed to go up. Like if a trade is supposed to go up 200%, there's no fucking way you should be getting a trigger at 10% profit. That makes absolutely no sense. And it could be dangerous because it'll fuck around and do something like this where it sells half the position. You feel me? If your position is meant to make 200%, why the fuck are you selling half the position up 10% because you're trying to protect the shit? Just because you too strict. You're not variable. You know what I mean? That's one of our biggest problems right now, is protecting our winning trades so that we can get those big trades that are deemed to us. You feel me? So that we, like, for example, let's go back to this trade right here. This trade right here was destined to hit, it had a projection of 74% profit. You feel me? It hit 253. But with a 74% profit, you know what should have happened with this trade? It should have waited until at least got 50% of the ROI, went up at least 35% or 38% profit. Then it should try to maybe sell half or protect itself with a trailing stop. You feel me? And then it can go hit the ROI and then make a decision there, or go above it and let the shit run, right? But it should not be doing anything at 10% or 30% or anything like that. You feel me? It has to be dynamic and variable to the trade. And that's the biggest feature that I'm working on right now. So we make more money on our trades. All right. So that's what I'm working on. And hopefully I'll have that done tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get that done tomorrow for you guys. I've already built it, but now that I've changed so many things in the original code, I got to merge it, and that gets complicated. All right. So as far as setup, all right, let's go into setup. So setup, as I've always told people, is extremely easy. When you sign up for Tradehelper for the first time, or you're setting up for the first time, there's already a video in the quick tips area. So if you go to the menu, you go to quick tips, she shows you how to set up your Webull account. And once you set up your Webull account, all you got to do is download the utility and just log in to Webull. Once you're logged in, you just check your settings. All the settings are right here underneath general. In system settings, you want to turn on this auto update utility. I think it's already set for everybody from this point forward. So if you have a new account or something, it's already set, right? Underneath trade ideas, this is the first step that allows the AI to do something on your behalf. This is the auto accept trade ideas button. You want to make sure that's turned on. Basically what that means is if Rennie likes something and she wants to auto accept it and start monitoring it, she can do that. This is the generate new trade idea on invalidation. That means if it hits a stop loss or something like that, make a new trade idea. And then this is the number that limits how many times it does that. If you hit a stop loss on the first trade and on the second trade, let's just stop and wait for the next scheduled messages to come in and just make a whole new, and let's attack at a whole new timeline. That's what that means, all right? Automation and guardrails. These are your guardrails, right? One, turn on your auto buy so that she can buy the position for you. Turn on your emergency stop loss. So in case your internet goes down or something happens, it will always have a stop loss on it so that you can't take an unlimited loss, right? I have mine set to 25%, but that's because I'm a G. You feel me? You should probably set yours to 30%. That's the safest. But the better we get with our entries and the more accurate they are because of the things that I'm doing to the volume shield and stuff like that, you're going to see me make this smaller and smaller. 20, 15, 10. You're going to see that happen because I don't even need enough room to go back because my entries will be so perfect. You know what I mean? That if they're not perfect, something went wrong and I don't need to be in that trade anyway. But that's coming, right? So I have mine set to 25, but you should set yours to 30, especially if you are not in profit yet. I'm deep in profit. You know what I'm saying? I'm super deep in profit. So I've tripled, quadrupled my account. So I don't give a fuck. But you might not be in that situation. The next thing you got to set is this right here. This is one switch, and it controls every one of these switches right here. You feel me? This is just to enable autopilot automations. What does that mean? It means that if you have that turned off, like you can turn it off right here too. You can turn it on and off right here, right? When you have that turned off and she's recommending things to you in autopilot, right? She's giving you, like, telling you to sell half and trail and whatever. If you have this turned off, it means she'll just give you the recommendation, but she won't actually do it. It's up to you to actually do it. If you have this turned on, she'll literally be the one that does it. She will say sell half and trail, and she will go ahead and sell half and trail. That's all that means. All right. This is for people that want to self-manage their trades at a certain level if they feel like it for whatever reason. Right. That's all that is. It's the same switch over here. These down here are your guardrails. I don't have any turned on because I'm eyeballing it right now. But when you plan to go to sleep and not be looking at it and stuff like that, you want to have these turned on. You want to have a daily stop loss. You feel me? I think a good measure is 10% of your account if you're trading small with small entries. Now, if you're the type of person that's going all in on your trades, you got a 2K account and you jumping in with 2K, then you can't have it like this because there is a good chance that you might go down a little $200. You feel me? because that's only like 10% of the trade. You feel me? I've gone down 12%, 14%, then came back and won at 100% before. You know what I mean? That just is the way it goes. Hold on. Who the fuck is this? Why you hitting me? My Uber Eats person hit me up so much. Like, damn. Marlena? Hold on. I told her a little jokey joke. I say, look, you could just drop it at the front desk unless you specifically want to meet a celebrity. You feel me? I'm just playing. Anyways, so yeah, you can set your daily stop loss. You can set how many trades you want to do in a day. As you see, I reached my limit, trade limit hit, right? But you can set it and say, hey, I only want to do 2 trades in a day. I'm doing that because I'll give you guys a little hint. I'm going all in. Once again, I've already flipped my account countless times. So when I buy with everything. I don't care what is going on just because I'm cool like that. But y'all should never do that. By the way, this is the last thing that you need to set when you're setting up. After you're done with your settings, you have to go to helpers. And then you go to Rennie and you go to her budget rules. That's number 6, trade ideas. Right up here, entry budget rules. I'm going to delete these so you see what it looks like. It's going to look like this, blank, empty. You got to add a rule. Here's how it works. 70% confidence, you choose what you want to buy in with, what you want to start the trade with. If you're trading on a very small account, let's say you have a $500 account, please do not hit me up when you have an issue because you over here using percentages of buying power. You cannot put 10%, 15% on this if you have a $500 account, because guess what happens? Your buy-in will literally be $50, right? $50. And here's where you get bit like that, because that's normally not a bad thing, right? But over here on market data, underneath option chain, I literally have a setting in there. It doesn't, I don't know when I saved this. What the hell? I was experimenting with something. Let me change this back. But I normally have it set to this, where Rennie does not load any contract cheaper than $40, right? Then I also have this setting turned on down here called require multiple. This is for big account people like me, right? And what this means is that not only would she not buy a contract cheaper than $40, but you have to have a budget bigger than $80 because you have to be able to afford 2 of these at minimum. So she's going to look for a budget of $80 and then see that you have a budget set of fucking $40 or $50, and she's not going to pull the contract. So make sure if you're on a small account, just make sure you have this set to something lower. You feel me? And you turn this off. You know, you can have this set to like $30, right? And then you just turn this off. And so you can buy just one cheap ass contract. You feel me? That's simple. All right. But yeah, in your budget rules, 70%. And then you could do a grade modifier. So you can say, hey, 70%, but it's a C, but it's a B plus because it's a big move. I want to come in a little bigger. Now, me personally, 70% anything, you know, if I'm just starting off, I'm just going to do something small. If I'm trading with $1,000 account, I'm only coming in with like $100, $120. You feel me? So I'll do like 10% here or 15% really. And then I'll do a grade modifier. If it's like a big move, like a B plus or higher, I'll do 20%. Fuck it. Now, if it's 80%, if it's something real crazy, 80% or higher, and it's, you know, I still come in with just a 15% because it all matters on the size of the move. But if it's a C plus or higher, which is a decent move for 80%, I might come in with the 30, and then I might add another grade modifier and say, look, if it's a B plus or just even a B, you feel me? I'm coming in, baby. I'm coming in big dog style, man. 60%. Let's go crazy, right? Something bigger. But as you know, currently, I'm jumping in 100%, knocking these motherfuckers out, going stupid on them. Yo, why is the Uber Eats people calling me again? Somewhat confusing. Yeah, hello? What the fuck is she talking about? You can stop on the side of the street. Side of the street. God damn. How you doing Uber Eats deliveries and you don't know how buildings work? How do you miss the biggest skyscraper in Atlanta? Like, what is going on? All right, y'all. Shit is crazy. Anyways, man. She just hit me with I've arrived. Like, bruh, just drop the food off, G. You right in front of my building. Just drop it off. You on a bicycle. You don't even gotta park. Talking about parking. You don't have to park. What are you doing? Oh, what? Order delivered. Thank God. Okay, she made it. All right, y'all. So that's pretty much it. Raise your hand if you understood everything I showed you about the budget. You understood how to set up the settings. That's literally it. That's literally it. It is not hard. It goes step 1 to step 3. Step 1, create your Webull account. Make sure you get approved for level 2 options. You can see exactly how to do that by going to the quick tips section, which is just tradehelper.ai/FAQ. You feel me? Once you got that set up, download the utility, log in, and then just go to your settings and just verify that those settings that you just looked at are all on. You feel me? And then boom, you go to your helper and you make your budget. And then lastly, you drop your scheduled messages in. If anybody wants my scheduled messages, I'm literally going to put it in the right side sidebar right now. I'm going to drop it in there for you right now. So you can just download it and just import it. It's really that simple. Let me make sure that it's only these. There we go. Boom. Boom. That's it right there. That's it. You turn that on, you good to go. It'll automatically trade for you. All right.